Okay, currently, how often do you actually change or expand your menu?
We review the menu about every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
Of course, changing the entire menu is a big issue. You got to develop recipes and whatnot. We have our main dishes, which never change. These are the items that bring people to BLooiE's and whatnot like that.
Okay, the core signature.
Yeah, our signature dishes, that type of thing. Those things will always be there because that's what everybody likes. But we look at the menu about every 6 months and see if there are things that we need to improve on, or if there's customer suggestions of things that we can add to the menus. So 6 months is a review.
And how do you actually get the ideas for your menu expansion? Do you actually go around tasting the food at different restaurants, or do you actually read up on the various recipes from your?
Okay, well, there's a couple. The customer suggestions is a big thing. If somebody says, "Why don't you think of this?" and we do think of it.
Okay.
The other thing too is also we're in a position where we've done a fair amount of travel and.
Traveling.
Yeah, especially when we find ourselves back in North America, and we try similar style recipes or similar style restaurants in North America, and see what is appealing to that crowd. And
I see.
Especially if it's something new that we want to bring here. Think about the beer butt chicken came about from a tour I was doing through southern United States.
Really?
Harley Davidson.
Oh, Harley Davidson, right?
That's how I first.
On your own or with Fiona?
No. Well, I was by myself. I was with a group of people, and that's how I ran into a lady that was selling basically a rub, a spice rub, which could be used on just about anything. But it was from this rub that I got the idea of marinating the chicken and doing what we call beer butt chicken.
Okay. So the beer using the beer can itself is your idea.
Well, I didn't invent it, but I did bring it to Singapore.
So somebody else actually did the beer can?
Yes, I'm sure that it was done many times, but I just got the idea from this rub because the marination of the chicken is a dry spice. And this rub that she was selling in a jar seemed perfect for that idea. And so I bought a jar of this rub, came back to Singapore, and the first thing I used it on was a beer butt chicken. And since then, we have developed our own rub out of our Cajun spices and stuff like that, to the taste that we think is.
But how do you know what goes inside that that marinade?
Well, the marinade is we develop by mixing spices together. I would say it's more on like a Cajun flavor. It's a Cajun spice. We use it on different things. We use it on our Cajun chicken sandwich. We use it in our fries. And so it was a natural spice to use on the beer butt chicken. And when we did it the first time, it was like, this is really good, right? So it's become very popular.
Very good. Okay. How many items currently are available on the menu to date?
Whoa.
Is it like more than 30, or more than 40?
I think, we must be up there, 30 type of...
so between 30 to about 40.
There's a good selection.
All right, okay. So apart from meat, burgers, pizzas, I understand actually in your menu you actually have pizzas. You also have a whole full range of burgers.
Yep.
You also have steaks. Lamb racks.
Yes. Salmon.
And also salmon.
Yeah.
Fish.
We also have a vegetarian selection. Yes.
And also Mexican selection.
Yeah, it's more Tex-Mex than actual Mexican. But we have some of that Roadhouse style fare. Yes.
How do you actually how do you actually tell whether the cuisine is Canadian? How do you tell? What kind of how would you define Canadian cuisine?
Whoa!
What kind of spices or ingredients you actually use in the cuisine?
Honestly, I don't think there's a definition for Canadian cuisine, unless it's coated in maple sugar or maple syrup. I don't know what.
You know, like Italians, they always use olive oil. You know, they use a lot of cheeses
With
and
my
all that.
experience, Canadians, they put sugar on everything. So, but
They're happy people.
I don't. You know, honestly, I don't think there's a category of Canadian cuisine. You know, North American cuisine, everybody thinks of hot dogs, hamburgers,
Yeah.
that
Hot
type
dogs,
of thing, right?
hamburgers.
Canada, of course, Canadian back bacon, pork type of dishes are popular in Canada.
Like the Brits, they have pies, you know, they've got like shepherd pies and all that. You know.
Well, Canada is just such an infusion of everybody. I mean, if you go to Vancouver, you could probably find fried rice that's
Fried
you could
rice?
say is Canadian because Vancouver's got such a large Asian population. So, I mean, Canadians are just such a mix of all ethnic diversity. So, you know, what is Canadian food? It's really hard to say. You know, you could say pancakes with maple syrup on it, or you could say Canadian bacon sandwiches and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think if you wanted to pick an item on our menu that's as close to a Canadian dish as possible, I would say the shredded pork sandwich because
All right, okay, that's the one that I've just tasted.
that's very popular with Canadians.
So they love eating shredded meat, you know, in a
meat.
sandwich.
Yes,
So that's very healthy. That's very healthy because it goes for easy digestion. Yeah. Okay, that's very good. Currently, how many kitchen staff do you have to prepare the food? Do you have a number of staff to actually prepare the food in the kitchen in the 4 outlets that you have, or do you use a central kitchen?
Okay, what we do is all the marinades and sauces. The first thing to explain about BLooiE's is we make everything in-house. Even our salsa, we make ourselves.
So no preservatives.
Yeah, that's correct. We don't freeze our burgers. The burgers are made fresh daily.
Every day.
Every day. The steaks are marinated the day before for sale the next day, so we try to predict how many we're going to sell.
Are all this done at the central kitchen level, or is it at the outlet level?
No, the marinades and sauces and things like the chilies and all that stuff is done in a central area, and the reason we do that is for quality control.
Okay.
You know, we don't want somebody going to a BLooiE's and saying, well, this tastes different than the other BLooiE's. But the actual grilling and the cooking are done in each outlet.
All right.
Okay. So
So the centralization, you know, of the standard, you know, of all the standard pastes, the basting sauces,
Correct.
the marinades, and so forth. So the quality is maintained there.
So quality is maintained,
and the
but
freshness
each
is
outlet
there.
is grilling and cooking their own food. But we want to make sure that the taste stays the same from one BLooiE's to the next BLooiE's. So the marinades and sauces and all that type of ingredients are prepared in one place.
So to actually operate the central kitchen, how many staff would you actually require to prepare all these condiments, sauces, you know, marinades and pastes?
Throughout the day, there's between 4 to 6.
Wow. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. So are the kitchen staff trained by yourself and Fiona?
Oh, Fiona.
Mainly Fiona.
Fiona,
on
yeah,
all
because
the recipes, you know.
Fiona has the ability to taste something and say it's missing this or we're using a different brand of something. So she's able to come in and do that. When we train up a new cook or a chef, we try to train them to taste. It's one thing to follow a recipe, but it's another thing to taste it and say this is the taste that we're looking for. Sometimes a brand is not available because it's out of stock, so a recipe taste can change if you're not able to taste the food and say this is the taste that we're looking for. So primarily it's training new chefs to taste and say this is the taste, the consistency, and this is what we're looking for, right? Then the recipe may have to be tweaked. The recipe is a guideline. At the end of the day, it's how well your chef can taste the food
I see.
and make sure it's correct.
I'm actually quite impressed the fact that you actually taught your chefs to really taste the food. A lot of the times when those restaurants I visited, a lot of the chefs just simply follow the recipe and that's it. They don't really taste the food that they eat. So at the end of the day, they may not understand how the customers feel. Yeah.
It's an ongoing process. You know, Even
So-
a chef that's been working a long time,
Uh-huh.
he gets into a routine.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's imperative that he stops and actually tastes the food. Because
That's very good.
you-
Very
you-
good training for
yeah,
them.
if you're doing it over a long period of time and if you start drifting away, if you don't come back to the taste, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Wow, that's really great.